Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. And today we have a crypto journey of one of my Patreons. We've seen each other a lot on other platforms, and really interesting guy. He's got a really interesting crypto journey. So I can't wait to share it with you guys. We'll be back with Speirsh. I'm going to say it wrong. Milonin. Speirsh Milonin. You guys, we'll be right back. And we're back on the new normal with a crypto journey with Vic. I just might call you Vic because the last name I get messed up all the time. Where did you come up with Speirsh Milonin? Did I say it right that time?
Speirsh Milonin.
Oh, Speirsh Milonin.
I always put the accent behind it because he kind of sounds like the name kind of sounds British or European. It came to me in a vision, and then I'm like, what am I going to do with this name? And then when I got into the crypto space, created my handles at first weren't Speirsh, and then I'm like, what am I doing? Like I gotta create this guy as like my alter ego. So I have my son draw a character, awesome. And then I use the meme, the face. He kind of looks like John Wick a little bit. And I have a bunch of. I even created some NFTs. Nobody's bought them, but they're out there.
Are they on Wax or?
They're on OpenSea.
OpenSea, okay. Under Speirsh Milonin.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed.
We'll check that out. So I really appreciate your support. You'd found out that I got kicked off of WhoTube and jumped in to Patreon to support me, and I really appreciate that. And then you started saying what an interesting crypto journey you had, and so I'm hoping you can share some more of that story. I know we are running a lot of the same circles. You know, I've seen you on Big Spin, Rice, Uncle Cliff's chat. Really excited to get to spend some time talking to you and get to know you a little bit. When did you was crypto your introduction to, or were you already in like the digital world or the financial world? When did you first hear about crypto?
Food industry, actually.
Okay.
My career in the food industry, my grandfather invented the par-baked pizza crust.
Really?
Yes. In 1946. So I grew up in a pizza family. My grandfather had his company. My dad worked for him. And then my dad got this idea that he would make a better pizza than my grandfather did.
Oh, no.
My grandfather supported him in every way and was like, if you think you can do it, I'll give you the money, go do it. And he did. Built a very successful fundraising company. So he sold pizza kits as a means for groups to raise money. And over the life of the company, groups probably raised $500 million.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
He pioneered the idea. And then eventually my dad died in 1999, left the company to us, and he left it in the hands of some very bad people who ran it into the ground, and we lost everything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that's losing everything is kind of how I got into crypto, because before I knew about Bitcoin probably in 14, 15, maybe I was reading about it, and I was always curious about future things. And I think I looked into it and I couldn't figure out how to buy it. So I gave up. In fact, at first I thought it was an actual coin that you would buy, and I'm like, but then I went through a very hard relationship, came out of that. I literally, 2016, I had $17 to my name. I went from being a multi-millionaire.
Wow.
Literally, I'm like, how am I going to pay my bills? I get $17.
And if you grew up in a family that was generationally wealthy, that had to be a huge shock for you.
Well, we got wiped out. And my personal wealth was tied up in real estate in that bubble. because I started diversifying, realizing the business was going down, and then I got whacked both ways.
Wow.
I had to file bankruptcy and just lost everything. Started rebuilding. I built a restaurant group from nothing, kind of I built it in 2010, a grilled cheese concept called Grilled Cheese and Company. We built it started at a wine festival under a tent and built it to 4 restaurants. And that was my comeback. And then I had some interesting partners in that, kind of got forced out of the business because of my financial mess. They're like, it's going to impede in the business. You got to detach yourself. Went to work selling food for Cisco because I had the background. And that was it. Then went through the whole relationship stuff and lost all my money in that and assets. And then I had a near death in the middle of all that. That's
Really?
that's when my awakening started.
Okay. So that's like
Literally
$2015?
was partying too hard. Nothing like really crazy because I was never really into like a whole lot of hard stuff, but took a lot of stuff that would race your heart. And yeah, I think I went under. And then came back, and then life was different after that.
Interesting. So do you remember that time while you were gone or under?
I don't. Complete
You
blackout.
don't? Interesting.
Passed out as a very dark individual because I was in a dark space in my life, and then woke up and just saw the light and started changing my life. Got out of that relationship, did a lot of healing, used psychedelics, ayahuasca, mushrooms, kind of just over the years have become a hippie, I guess. Going through this whole process, and then I was dating Tracy, who I'm with now, and I started getting interested in crypto again. I'm like, I got to rebuild. I'm like, maybe this is a good avenue. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that my first crypto I bought was Tron.
Hey,
I bought Tron. I made some money on it.
Yeah.
And then
Here's the other thing. There's so many people that tell their crypto journeys, and they talk about, and we talk about on the show these on-ramps, especially when I do the news shows where they're like, oh, why these, hardcore crypto people are like, why are you excited about PayPal? That's, custodial. Well, because it's a pathway, it's a stepping stone, it's a doorway. And that sounds like, that's what it was for you. You started with Tron and gained some income from that. That was, a blessing, and then caused you to learn more about other coins. So I don't think any of it's a negative thing if you're learning from things you
no, and
experience.
I still have some of that Tron in the wallet I bought it in. I
Oh,
sold
wow.
most of it, but I kept a little bit. So I still have it as kind of a memento. It's in an atomic wallet. But it was, I think it was November, December of 2018 is when I started acquiring Bitcoin, Litecoin. I remember when Litecoin was like $87.
Okay.
Bitcoin Cash was right around the same. Bitcoin might have been like maybe $3,800 or something. And that's when I started buying those assets. I got myself and Tracy involved in crypto. We started investing, and then there was a big bump from there until April. So we made some money through that. And then it went into bear market. Things got rocky, and I think we were all kind of like, what's going to happen? It just seemed so unsettled, and you couldn't see out into the future that well. Like, what is this really going to do?
Right. And we were having all those SEC kind of attacks and issues. You were watching, governments starting to really bump into crypto during that time. And I think that was the other thing that everybody kind of was like, well, let's hold on.
Yeah. But I have this ability to see out in the future and kind of just I've carried it through my whole life where I've been kind of like a visionary with a lot of different things, and I believed in it. I'm like, this is going to be the future. So then I started looking for other ways to learn about it. So I found like Bix and Ben, and got a lot of good information from him. That's how I got into Theta early.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we bought a lot of Theta. Haven't sold any of it. I did have
Good.
7,000 tokens stolen from me once.
Oh my, how did that happen?
Um, oh God, we all have a story. So
I know.
I was in a Telegram, and I got private messaged, and I went on to what looked like a secure site, and they breached my wallet, my trust wallet, and I had the token. I put it all in the past because I'm like, I don't. The
Yeah.
amount it's worth now. At the time, it was probably about $7,000 is what I paid for all the crypto in that wallet.
Hmm.
The guy made off with everything. He only left me with this shitty token that I think it's still in there. I'm
Oh, he
like,
exchanged another token for it? He left a
no,
token?
he left me with these tokens that are virtually worth nothing, and they still aren't.
Okay.
So he left one big bag of tokens in there, and he took all the good stuff.
Interesting.
But it's just a lesson in don't give away your private keys to anybody.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, and now that I've made it, I know never to make it again.
It's just part of your education. That's what, Kenny Bozak talks about, how that's how he
Mhm.
paid. Some people pay for college, and he's like, "I paid for mine in
Yes.
crypto and making mistakes, and I look at it
Mhm.
as an investment in my future and kind of be able to have a healthy way to look at it and move forward."
Oh,
Um,
you have to, because if you, I mean, even bad trades, because in the beginning, I wasn't the best trader, so I lost money. Um, I became more of a hodler through everything. I only started trading probably in the last year and a half, maybe less actually. And then, but back to Theta. So I started acquiring Theta really early on, along with a bunch of other cryptos. And really, what happened, I rebuilt my life, got my credit back up, and then I said, if I don't do this now, I gotta do something, and I have to build up a retirement. So I took out probably about $40,000 in loans, put it all into crypto.
oh,
This was
wow.
this was last right after the crash, last
Okay.
March, and
Yeah. It would have been the early spring.
I I at the time was a subscriber to crypto viewing, and Dick had a guest on called Michael,
Mhm.
and he had a lot of knowledge on just kind of where to look and identify different projects and see how they're connected and this and that. So I learned some things and then really started doing my homework and research. And it wasn't dumb luck. I picked all the right projects through the summer last year. I got involved in all that DeFi stuff, and I made a fortune.
Okay.
That amount of money that I borrowed
Was
grew
nothing
into.
kinda That's so good. Wow, what a risk, though. I mean, that really, after going through a bear market as well, I mean, you knew, here you're taking these loans,
Mhm.
and you could have really been
Yes.
in a position where you couldn't pay them back again. But I
Mhm.
guess with great risk comes great reward also. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's
you can't
amazing.
you can't you can't make money if you don't take the risk. Um, so that was a smart decision. Um, Made the bulk of my crypto wealth last summer. Sold um, smartly because then we went into another crash through
Mhm.
the fall. Um, Reloaded the bags from the profits, and I've ridden this whole bull run up, and have just been picking things left and right because of my research, and I've been on most all the good projects that are
Mostly
just.
the right side of those choices. Yeah. Wow. Do you feel comfortable sharing some of those projects that you see a lot of promise with, going into this next bull run?
My favorite one, I don't know. I don't like it, it's gone really crazy, but there's a project called Alchemist. The ticker
Okay.
is Mist. I got in early because of Chico Crypto, He likes to drop hints and make you do your own homework.
Oh,
But
cool.
I got in early. He got in earlier than a lot of us did, but I got in really early. I want to say like $35.
Okay.
It's trading for I think 208 today. Um, but I think it's going a lot higher. They are involved in the Uniswap V3 launch, and they have something to do with these vaults where you're going to keep your LP assets in these vaults so that it's a more secure way of keeping your crypto rather than putting everything into these LP vaults right on their site.
Interesting.
And
It's a
they
way
still
to
haven't
have it
dropped a
in
whole
your.
lot of information on it, but I'm betting
Okay.
maybe 1,000, 2,000 on this. I just hate chasing these tops, and it's right now. I mean, anybody that bought it would be paying a premium today. But if you believed in the project and did your own homework, I think it's still got a lot of room to run.
Still have the room.
I love Phantom.
Okay.
It's a DeFi play. That's where I've made a bulk of my money. Because I bought it for half a penny, a lot of it. It's trading for almost 50 cents today. But I think it's going to like $2. Virtually no transaction fees, and their blockchain is super fast. And the adoption is just accelerating, kind of like Solana. A lot of people are realizing the power of Solana and the low fees and the transaction speeds are so quick.
Interesting. I'm taking notes.
Yeah, there's
Look into
there's
things.
I got in early in CyberFi, which is got some really cool tech in DeFi. There's a project I love called Orion Protocol, and they're soon going to have staking for the tokens, and you're going to participate in 18 revenue streams off of their platform. And what they're doing is they're taking centralized exchanges and decentralized and merging them into one platform. So you'll have access to all that liquidity across every type of platform you can imagine. And then the whole model is stake your tokens and then you share in the revenue streams. So I've held that for a long time. My bag of cryptos is it's really huge and diversified because I believe in spreading it out. I mean, I have all the core stuff that everybody should have.
Right.
Bitcoin, Litecoin, Polkadot, Chainlink, Ethereum, Kusama, and then it's all the small projects underneath that. But that's where the tech is and where they're kind of changing the world. I mean, it's.
Do you think we'll have, we had like the Bitcoin run up and then we had an alt season. I guess it kind of went into DeFi and then NFT, but do you see like a new alt season coming with
I think we're in it.
where you think we're in it right now?
Yeah, because Bitcoin dominance is falling off a cliff.
Okay.
There's a chart that traders look at. It's the Bitcoin dominance, and it's just been cratering, which signals the altcoin
People are
run.
running to the
Ethereum
altcoins.
and the Ethereum Bitcoin pair is starting to decouple, and Ethereum is now pulling away from Bitcoin.
Interesting.
Which was another sign that happened back in that big alt season of 17. So all the signs are in place. It's just a matter of, I guess, if you can get all the noise out of the way. Like JP Morgan the other day coming out saying, Bitcoin's a risk. And then 5 days later, they're like, oh, we're giving our clients access to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, I saw. We reported on that yesterday. It was insane. I mean,
yep.
But countries are doing that as well. They're saying, we're banning Bitcoin. And then the next minute, I think it was in Kenya, they're banning Bitcoin. And then they're like, oh, well, there's nothing that can stop this. Okay, we're going to come up with our centralized currency. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how those two things interact because, they can't really stop people from having Bitcoin.
No.
Do you see us having kind of two economies with that, like the decentralized and the centralized economy with Bitcoin versus kind of those government economy or their control?
I actually have a really wild theory on everything, and I guess it's based on what happens with the world. And if the good guys win, I I do have a fear, and it's not so much a fear, but I keep getting this inkling that cryptocurrencies and stable tokens, and then you have utility tokens, kind of like Theta is a utility token.
Right. Okay.
I think the safer play, at least where I'm sitting, I've been reducing my Bitcoin exposure little by little, and loading more up on Ethereum because it's a utility token.
It's kind of looking at that use case,
Right.
or the tech side of it, trusting the tech more than
Right.
the.
Yeah, and the whole new economy is built on Ethereum. Bitcoin is what it is, and I'm not the biggest fan of Bitcoin. It's if we move into a new world where, let's just say they do the reset, and I still am the opinion I think they're going to do it. What is money and all that going to look like? You know, tech like Theta and Ethereum survives, but if we're moving to a different world, do we need Bitcoin or stable tokens if it's more of a fair and different system for everybody?
Yeah, I guess it just depends on who wins or what that world looks like for sure.
True. Yeah, I mean, if we're going into, you know, the world of the cabal,
Hmm.
their money is Bitcoin. I mean, I imagine they created it.
Yeah.
You know, but going into a new world too, choice is going to be very important, and the crypto communities are so big now, and there's so many people involved, and not just big money. There's so many small players in it. I can't see how they would hurt everybody.
Interesting.
You know, by wiping it out.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, I had Uncle Cliff on, and he was talking. We were talking about, what if and when
Mhm.
the system goes down and all that, and we're talking about Bitcoin, what that looks like moving forward, and he said, wouldn't it be just sweet justice if the very thing that they created to control all of us was actually the thing that took them down, that
Yeah,
took down the central banks,
it would be.
That
And
would
you know,
be.
I think Turkey came out today, and they're on a government level, they've accepted Bitcoin.
Well,
Uh,
and then so yesterday I'm reporting that they're arresting all these people in Turkey for cryptocurrency. So see how they like attack and say no, and then literally the next day they're like, okay, well, we're going to take Bitcoin, you know?
mhm. Yeah, it's happening so fast, and the big, I call it the shakeout that just happened.
Mhm.
There's a supply crisis on Bitcoin, so the big money is trying to get as many tokens as they can, so they're trying to shake the little guys out.
Yeah, put that fear and
No.
doubt, which I think a lot of that
Mhm.
is those news stories too. Oh, we're arresting this people, we're investigating that, we're doing this, doing that. I thought it was interesting that the SEC complained that the Ripple community was, and I'm not a fan of Ripple, but I thought this was incredible that the SEC is actually like making public statements that the Ripple community is, quote, harassing them. Like, aren't you the big bad guy? But I think the crypto community is stronger than we realize, that
It
if we
really
all
is.
do stand
It's
together.
global. We're all in this together, and
Mhm.
there's a lot of little players that have, it's changed their lives. Um, Crypto changed my life.
Yeah, mine for sure.
Hmm.
It's been crazy, just incredibly crazy to think, that a little guy could, get ahead or have those opportunities. And that, we did a whole thing about when the Robin Hood thing happened, and they
Hmm.
were like, "Oh, you get best price on Robin
Hmm.
Hood. You're guaranteed best price." Well, the big guys are guaranteed enhanced price. and the little
Mhm.
guys can't touch it. So they're already asking you to play in a game that they hold all the keys and all the rules and everything's benefiting them, but they want, "Oh, no,
Mhm.
you can go ahead and play and lose some money." And I think that's where crypto really is, that leveling field where it's like anybody can buy however much of Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever, and be you don't have to be an accredited investor and, all those kind
No.
of things, all those walls that they've put up between the wealth opportunities and people, the little people, you know.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's the Dogecoin is the perfect example of how the little guys can do their thing. I mean, the community is so strong, and then they got the TikTok behind it. Um,
yeah, I'm just
it's
really
worth
worried about it.
billions of dollars. Like if they can hold the value up and the community stays strong, and then they create a or a means of exchange, like on TikTok or something, so they can pay each other back and forth or tip or whatever. It's not going anywhere, and that's the power
No,
of
it
community in
it
crypto.
came but it came together so it came together as a community, but then it was hyper inflated or hyper escalated
Mhm.
because of Elon's tweet. And he's very not predictable, not
No.
stable as far as what he kind of things he's going to put out. I mean, he's talking about how it's going to be great when we go to Mars and we're going to lose a bunch of people, but die doing it, but it'll be a wonderful thing. And then, I mean, he could say tomorrow something negative about Doge and it would dump. I mean, Ellen was supposedly talking about it on her show today, um, which is a concern to
Okay.
me if someone like that or mainstream is talking Doge NFTs or whatever it was. I think it was Doge
Well,
NFTs.
I would just hate to see a lot of newbies come into the space and then they buy the top and then they get burnt.
Yeah, me too.
That would suck because then you lose that whole new batch of crypto people.
Yeah.
Um, and they're just, buying it on the hype because it's always been known as a pump and dump.
Right.
But they do
That's
it. It's
my
a big
concern
community
is,
behind
yeah, is
it.
that
Yeah.
it's really easily manipulated. And it's one of those, like you said, not based on the tech
No.
of the project. It's just really, um, I don't know, too volatile for my taste, but
Hmm.
that's
Yeah, I've
interesting.
never actually owned any Doge.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I,
But the
I haven't
market
even
cap
I haven't
is,
even traded it, but
oh, really?
no, no, just
Yeah,
because it's kind of like there's certain projects I'll never touch just because I don't. I'm like, what
that's
is
not your thing. Yeah.
No. I try to buy fundamentals. Like I bought a new project today called Hathor, and it's a blockchain, and they've got a lot of big announcements coming up. And in light of what Solana's done lately, and Hathor is really building something cool, and it's their own blockchain. It's fairly inexpensive right now. I'm like, this is interesting. I'm going to put a little money into it and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Again, they have good tech, and there's plenty of room for a lot of blockchains out
So
there.
where are you, like, when you say you're hearing about a new, is that you looking on through Coinbase? Is that you looking at other, people who are trading? Where do you kind of get your crypto news or information?
Mainly scanning Twitter, and all the different people that I follow, and then you know I'll see chatter about something or somebody will mention something, and then I just kind of go do my own research after that.
Okay.
Um,
So are you
and there,
going with your gut a little bit on that, where you're like, some
yes,
things or I'm hearing
mhm.
things too many times, or getting that gut feeling, learning to listen to yourself and, um
Yeah, my intuition's been really strong, especially within the last year, just because I've really cleaned my pineal gland up
awesome.
and gotten more connected with myself, figured a lot out, and now I hear that voice in the head more. And it's been right a lot, especially in crypto, because a lot of times I will buy stuff just on a gut feeling, and I'm like, man, it was kind of like mist. I mean, I heard it on, Chico Crypto, but I'm like, man, this thing's gonna be big. And I just got that voice, get in now.
And then you go check it out, do your research, and then you see the tech behind something or
Well,
whatever it is
that
that you're
one, there
interested
wasn't
in.
anything. We were buying the fact that the programmer had quite a track record. And it was so mysterious how they were doing it. And you had to go and buy some tokens, and then you had to pair it with Ethereum and create an LP pool, and then mint this thing called a crucible. And that was part of the game. You go mint your crucible, and then it shows up in OpenSea as an NFT. And apparently, if you don't have this crucible, you're not going to be able to use the vaults. So you had to go get one of these. That was kind of an experience in itself.
Yeah, so they're teaching you how to use the tech, but you have to be able to use the tech yourself to be successful at it, or to kind of you're earning it, I guess, that
Yeah.
way. Wow.
Yeah, and it's buying crypto and just holding it is not the fun anymore. The fun is finding all these yield farms and how to make money with what you're holding while you're holding it. Because I hold, but if I'm sitting on a stack of Ethereum and then I've got a bunch of these Onyx tokens, which I love because it's paying me like 220%.
Wow.
Interest on a great project. I'm like, all right, I'll take some of my Ethereum because I'm not going to sell it. And then I bought a bunch of these tokens cheap. You pair them together, you go and provide the liquidity, and then you get incredible yield off of your money. Even if you paired Ethereum with like DAI or like USDC, still talking 15-20% interest.
Yeah, definitely.
No bank
I know
is.
there's several of those. Well, and I think that's kind of that new trend. I'm also seeing like where kind of, I mean, I'm 48, so we went through, the 80s and people selling, buying everything. Nobody saved money, in the 90s it was more difficult, I guess, but watching this new trend of like, it's cool. I just did a show yesterday and they were talking about the kids now, the teenagers, their 3 top buys are Chick-fil-A sandwiches, Nike clothes, and crypto, Bitcoin. And so it's cool to save money now.
Yeah,
You know
crypto
what I
is
mean?
made it cool. Yeah.
And I think that's a big shift and definitely not what the bad guys wanted us to have that mindset. So I think that's another really positive thing about cryptos is that it's created this, I remember when we first got in and my mom told us about cryptocurrency and gave us our first Litecoin. And she's telling me how there's these, and can't remember the term she used, if she was like crypto rich or something poor, I don't know. But she's like, there's these guys eating cans out of, soup out of a can because they won't touch their cryptos. But they might have, a lot of money.
Yes, there's
So
so many stories like that. Did your mom got you into it?
yeah. So I got remarried. I
That's
got married
really
for the
cool.
second time, in 2017. And for our wedding gift, she gave us Litecoin. And she was a little nervous about it because she's like, I guess some of my other siblings weren't as receptive and whatever. And then she goes, and they always thought we were so crazy for holding silver and buying silver. And so then she started talking to me and my husband about it. And we're like, that's what led us. I didn't know the financial system was so broken. I had no clue until you're like, well, why crypto? And then you find out, oh my gosh, this dirty fiat is backed by nothing and a joke. And now they're printing it to infinity. And so I'm really grateful to her, but yeah, that's our quick
That's
crypto
really cool.
story. Yeah, she's
Your
pretty
mom,
amazing.
Crypto Nana, right?
Crypto Nana for LTC. She was Crypto Nana for MAGA, but she kept getting kicked off of stuff.
Oh
So
my God.
she changed her handle. But yeah, she's amazing and really gets in, plays with the tech. She and my husband, are calling each other or messaging each other about a new project or, well, which wallet do you have to do this or that, or we have to get on, so it's pretty cool. She's very active in all of it.
Well, there's so many new toys to play with in crypto, and they seem to be adding them. I mean, you had Gemini come out today. They announced they're doing the credit card now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's happening so fast. I mean, light speed right now. How everything is just you see This is either the future new world because it's happening so fast, or I have no idea where we're going to. But I'm banking on we're going to the digital, you know.
Yeah, I definitely think we're going digital. I just think it's a great opportunity. I kind of look at it as like those old hodlers of gold and silver. Well, now those are going to be the people that have decentralized or at least keys in their possession. And then there will be, the government system, which is similar to our current banking system, I guess, that you'll have to kind of move money in and out of. But
I don't even think we're going to have banks. I think there's going to be a treasury account for everyone. And then the treasury will be the bank.
So the treasury accounts at the bank used to be run through our post office. And there's a lot of what are they called? I just went blank on the name. Patents that the post office holds that are very strange about cryptocurrency and voting accounts and voter ID and all that kind of stuff. And so as we go through this reset, call it whatever you want to call it, I could see the post office coming back into that big role and the treasury holding our accounts at the post office or through the post office.
Yep.
Because in fact, when all this came out with the payouts for the vid, one of the things was if you couldn't get, what did I hear? It was like you had to go to the post office to get some, if you didn't have a IRS account that was directly linked to them or something, or a bank account that was directly linked to them, then you went to the post office and you picked up your check there. There's just been some really weird things.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of weird stuff happening.
Yeah. So
a lot of weird stuff. But if they're going to do an UBI, it just makes sense that you have a universal treasury account with your, all your, I guess your KYC and your credentials and everything are going to be linked to biometrics in your phone. Your phone's going to know that it's you. If we're going to vote that way, it's going to know it's you and it'll be legit.
There is a concern with that too.
Somebody's printing something. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. But there is some concern with that as well. Like I was watching this documentary about coded bias, and it was talking about how all this facial recognition that's supposed to be our whoops, I'm gonna mute you real quick. All this coded bias for this facial recognition, like that they weren't recognizing Black faces, dark faces, Indian faces, and that was actually because it was created on an algorithm that was mostly shown or taught white faces, specifically men, but also some women. And I then think about like the algorithms and the issues that we had. I lost my channel most likely because of algorithms kicking me off. And then I got a new channel. Then they kicked me off again, but then they gave it back to me this time. And I think that's all based on those algorithms. And that documentary is really incredible to watch. They also talked about, there was a case, and they were talking about originally the facial recognition, but the issue is much bigger than that. The issue is these algorithms are setting like laws now. Basically, like this, they had a group of teachers that because of the algorithm, this guy got like teacher of the year, teacher of the month. He got all these awards. He has all this extra certification. The kids love him. And he got fired because the algorithm said that he didn't perform somehow, some way. And he's like, they ended up fighting it. And basically they were like, well, because the algorithm said, and the courts ended up backing him on that. But that gets into like a scary world where, when you're talking about algorithms giving us permission or access to our jobs, our income, our bank accounts, all of that.
Yeah. AI can, in the wrong hands, I think it can be scary. And it just depends on which world we're moving into. And if it's the world that I want, which is light and love, I don't think we're gonna have to worry about it. Hopefully the AI is more friendly to us.
That's a great point. Well, and if we can identify those things, I guess, and then correct it, then, because they were saying in the documentary, it's people, misunderstand AI. AI isn't learning, or there's two different ways that AI it gathers data,
Mhm.
or what was the other one? It was like by it gathering data, it only can exist off the data it knows. It can't
Right.
think of data outside of what you've fed it. So, I guess as we could come up to those things, we'd be able to figure out and add more data. Um, I don't know, just really interesting stuff. I think, the count stuff, it's almost like if you go back to a more simplistic um, method, like in India with your blue finger, they have one of the most accurate counts, you know, systems of counting your opinion politically.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's like
Sometimes.
how much does AI get in the way of the truth? Is AI always better, or is tech or advances in tech, is that always better or a positive thing? You know, even with the vid and people finding positive things about being home with their family and working from home and changing your life, because they had us all so separated. You put your
Mhm.
kids in daycare and you go to work, and then you come home and you're exhausted and you get a couple hours with your family, and then you go to sleep and then get up and do it all over again. And now people are looking at things differently, like, whoa, I could
Mhm.
work from home. I'm actually more efficient, and I still could be around my children or have lunch with my family, or, you know, things like that. So I see, I guess, positive and negative out of both of those. And um, this whole world moving forward, it does feel like a transition to me, but like you said, I feel like it's happening really fast. So I think by the end of this
Happening.
year.
I think for most people, it's happening probably too fast because they can't. And there's still most of the population. They might know what like Bitcoin is, but they don't know about all the other stuff or can't see
Yeah.
what they're building here, which is, I mean, the whole new world is being built on the blockchain. Um, and quantum computing is going to have some way to play into this. Um,
Are you familiar with that? I'm not really familiar with quantum computing. I hear it thrown around a lot. And I hear people say, well, once we have quantum computers and they're going to be able to break the blockchain, but I don't know that that's accurate either. But especially if it's benevolent, like I believe, and I want to hope that that's my choice of what future I'm going into, is the benevolent future. And so, and the choices that I'm going to make.
mhm.
So I don't really understand the whole. Do you think the fear of quantum computing, I guess, is legit for blockchain?
No, I
Okay.
think I think it's already involved. Um, I'm sure they have a level of security built between the quantum and the blockchains and how they're talking to each other. Um, but so many of these other blockchains, other than like Bitcoin, which is just awfully slow to move money around, but it was not designed for
Right.
payments. I think initially they had that, but as a store of value, you don't need to move money quickly. What you need is like a phantom where you can go and send like $50,000 in a matter of like seconds. Boom.
Mm,
That's a fast blockchain. Ethereum's slow right now, and the gas fees are terrible.
yeah.
But you see all the tech that's being built, and Ethereum will eventually be quick.
Yeah. Have
Um,
you looked into Matic or Polygon?
yeah, the layer two solutions like
Yeah.
XDAI and Matic. Yeah, because they're building that layer two, and I don't understand layer two that much. I haven't.
I
It's
don't
one
either.
area I haven't spent a lot of time. I don't have Matic or XDAI, but it's
We did a
taking.
video on Matic, and it was really interesting. And then I also have a psychic friend and a friend that does
Mhm,
Vedic astrology, and we did a whole show on Matic, Polygon, and
mhm,
how it was really cool watching the team really loved and respected Ethereum and what Ethereum does, but it saw the holes. And so instead of trying to create a new Ethereum, they created that second layer that would, help Ethereum do what it intended to do and speed it all up. And I think it's going to be really big. Interesting.
Yeah, it's been doing really well just the last 2 days since the crash. I think it's almost doubled from the bottom.
Oh, good. I haven't looked at anything today, so.
Yeah, I should have gotten into that one because it's been a great project, but you can't catch them all.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's something I have to learn more about, the layer 2. But there's so many of these other blockchains that are being built. They're quick by themselves, and then you have everything Polkadot's doing, and that hasn't even rolled out yet. We haven't seen the power of, because they're still in the parachain auctions, which is on the Kusama network, and then you have DOT, which is kind of above. That's the the big one that oversees everything in the whole ecosystem. But Gavin Wood is just brilliant, and what they're building over there is it's beautiful. And it's its whole ecosystem, and it's speculation right now because nothing's even really working that much yet.
Interesting. It makes me wonder how much people, when they get into these, are they really reading the project and learning about the project, or is it more? I guess there's probably both in the community. There's some that are all about the trading and the
Yes.
numbers, and then there's some that are really in it for the tech.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a good mix of both. And there's a great group of guys I follow. I think the community is now about 15,000. Their research is fabulous. It's free. You can join their Telegram free. Follow them on Twitter. It's called the Spectre Group.
The Spectre Group.
Spectre, Spectre. Mr. Biz is and Polkadot Brown are the two main guys that do a lot of the tweeting, and then they host AMAs a lot, and they just do a great research. And when you go right to their Twitter homepage, their picks come right up. It's kind of pinned on the top of the page.
Okay. Yeah.
And fabulous set of picks, and they've done the research on everything. I found a lot of my investments through them early.
Interesting.
Because they did
always
the research.
Yeah, nice to be able to have a starting point at least, or have somebody kind of vet it, and then you kind of look at their work and then look into the project more, for sure. That's really interesting. You've given us like a ton of information. I really appreciate it. I think it'll be really helpful. So what is your dream or crypto dream or goal? What does that look like for
Well,
you?
I've already just etched one of them. This summer, I'm going to enjoy some of reap some of the benefits of what I've been doing here, and go live a little bit. Rented a camper van and going to see quite a bit of the United States, mainly out in the Four Corners, for 5 to 8 weeks.
That'll be awesome. Where are you taking your family then?
Tracy and I and the dog are gonna do leg one, and then my youngest son's gonna do the second leg. It's gonna kind of go down to Florida and everything.
Oh wow! Well, that Bix and Ben and a bunch of us are going to be doing like a crypto road trip meetup thing. All this summer.
Really?
So yeah, so we'll have to see. If
I knew there was something coming up with Bix in May, right down in Arizona.
May 7th, yeah, we're going to have a thing in Phoenix on May 7th, and then after that, his RV was supposed to be here, but it didn't get here in time, and so then he's like, "We'll get to the rest of the schedule later." But he wants to. They're going to kind of road trip across the country, and I'll probably just be meeting them here and there, but.
Oh, that'll be fun. Maybe I'll be able to bump into the tour.
That's what I'm thinking, is if you're out in that area, that's kind of where they'll be moving across this early summer. So
yeah, we leave middle June. Starts in middle June.
So if you're going to Four Corners, are you visiting like the Santa Fe, Taos, Red River area? Some of New Mexico? Just thought with your spiritual awakening stuff, that might be something really interesting.
It's called the Taos River. I'm going to write this down.
So Taos and Red River, and that the whole four corners thing is supposed to be like a really high energy
Yes.
vibration kind of spiritual center. And then if you're in that, what would it be, southeast corner of New Mexico.
Oh, it's southeast.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to make it down that. I potentially could. I got this app called Road Trippers, and it's
Oh,
really
cool.
cool because you go on a map and you select where you want to go, and it's got all the kind of the landmarks and stuff. And then you pin them, and then it creates your trip, gives you the mileage, the time, and everything.
And like hot spots along the way kind of
Mhm.
thing. Oh,
Yeah,
that's really cool. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's a
want to
nice
do more
app.
of that.
And I've been watching like just different. It's the big thing with these camper vans is called boondocking.
I don't know what that means.
Well, you're off the grid. You don't need any connections, and because the van is runs off of solar and everything else, you don't need to rent like sites or this and that. There's so many boondocking places
Oh.
you just park and sleep for the night for
So is
free.
this a van that you rent? You're renting this van and it's
Hmm.
all set up like that to be off the grid and all that?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's
It's a it's a like a Sprinter van that's
yeah.
outfitted like a little home. It's a lot easier to drive than an RV, which
Yes,
because
because that's
they're
what
I don't want to take a big RV across the country. I'm like I want something fun.
yeah,
And
yeah.
these camper vans are freaking awesome, and they're some of the designs of them are beautiful and what people have done with them. But I didn't want to buy one yet because I want to
Mhm.
see how much I like it. So I
Yeah.
found a gal down in Asheville that had a really cool one. So we're going to drive from here. We live in Maryland,
Oh, okay.
to Asheville, North Carolina, and take it from there.
So what's this company called?
It has the camper van
Yeah, that
in
has the
Asheville.
yeah.
Oh, what's the name of her
I
business?
mean, is it not like a national brand where they rent these things all over? This is just like a one-off.
She bought a couple vans and has a small company.
Oh,
The
okay.
camper vans though, you can look it up. Like the the best to see like what people have done with them is on Instagram. Like van, you can look under van life and camper vans, like the hashtags and all kinds of stuff will come up. But
Yeah.
this is a way of life for people. They literally have given up everything, and I think they spend a lot of time
It's
on the
like
road.
their tiny home thing, but on the road moving.
Exactly.
A mobile tiny home.
Yes.
Wow. Interesting.
And it just kind of hit me one day. I'm like, and I had a reading done because I had some things going on. I'm like, what is going on with me? And I'm like,
Yeah.
so a gal named Nicole Frolic, she has a YouTube channel, and she's kind of, I think she circles a little bit in some of the same groups that we're in. She does these inner child readings. I'm like, I
Oh.
think there's something that happened in childhood or whatever. And she did a reading, and it come to find out that I never really had a chance to live. I missed a lot of my life because I grew up too quick.
Hmm.
So she's like, you need to go do something fun and let that inner child out because he needs to
And
get
now
out.
because of crypto, you have the freedom to do that.
Yes.
That's awesome. What a
Yeah.
great story. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you. I'm excited to get to meet you in person sometime. Maybe we'll get to bump into each other somewhere on the road.
Oh, I'm
And
sure we will. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, we probably already would have because there were a couple of different things I was going to go and do and connect to one of the Ben events. Um, so we would have bumped into each other. But then
yeah,
the whole thing hit.
yeah, I know. That's been crazy, but I think it makes people want to do the meetups even more now. I mean,
Yes.
before it was like, oh yeah, there's these meetups. Oh, there's one here, and then there was one there. Now it's like, okay, I can't wait to see my friends and talk to people about projects and see what's going on, in the crypto world. And
Yep.
so I'm really excited about all that. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate your support and I appreciate you sharing your crypto journey. And
Yeah. My pleasure.
just want to tell everybody that they can find you on Twitter at Speirsh
Speirsh Milonin.
Milonin. I always forget the last
Yep.
N, I think.
SPIERSHMILONIN.
Lonin. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
got it. I will
Yeah.
put it in the
My little
description.
meme looks nothing like me. But
But that's
Yeah,
what
that's
your
where I
son
do all my
created, so
when I do share, I mean, I go on and off depending on where I'm at and my moods and what charts am I looking at. I try not to share things unless it's like a really good setup. I don't
oh,
like
I
getting in
think it's
trouble,
great.
getting yelled at. Because one guy yelled at me one day. He's like, "Dude, you told me to buy." I'm like, "I never told you anything."
I that
I'm like,
is I mean, that whole I thought it was weird when I first got into crypto and everybody's like, "This is not financial advice." And I'm like, "Why are you I don't think it's just your opinion, you know, and everyone
yes,
should think for themselves." But then you get those people that are like, "You said." Oh no.
yes,
This is about having responsibility for yourself, taking responsibility for yourself and making those choices to keep yourself healthy and to keep yourself wealthy and to
mhm,
keep yourself protected, so safe.
yes,
Well, craziness. Well,
mhm,
I'll put your information in the description below and we'll let everybody come follow you so they can get some more Speirsh Milonin in their
mhm.
life. Thanks again. I appreciate you.
Hey, Lisa.
Bye bye.